My name is Carsten Madsen. I'm working at a company called Morning Train. I'm the CEO there, and I have hired many interns, so I know it from the other side of the table. Look at this as your real-life kick, and you probably will see that most of what I have to say makes some kind of sense, and maybe you've heard most of it before. I hope I can push something new into you, because I brought some ideas, but let's see. Yeah. I know how it's like to be inside the system and do what you do. I've hired 5 rounds of interns. It started in, I think, 2012, so that's a long, or 2013, but it's been a lot of, I've learned a lot. So, what I'm also going to tell you now is to look for the right employer, because there's also a lot of shitty employers out there who are looking for the wrong interns, so don't go for those. And then I've helped other companies lately hiring interns. I don't know how it's spread, but people started talking, and it's not something I've been doing large scale, but I actually had a lot of fun with it, teaching other companies, giving them a different perspective on how they can hire interns, and hopefully then you guys will get a better internship. Yeah. And I'm not going to say that my company is awesome at doing internship. I think we're doing pretty well. There's a lot of stuff we can still learn. We're a young company. Yeah. So why not to listen to me? Like I said, I have very little theoretical knowledge of internships. There are many other kinds of businesses. I'm doing IT, doing software. So if you're looking for an internship in, let's say, robotics. No, robotics is kind of the same. Can somebody name drop something that's very different? Like a restaurant, or in like a travel business or something. That might be different. Or at the hospital. Public business, I don't know anything about that, and I rather don't want to. So this is going to be more privately company related. And people are different. Like, everybody are humans, right? So what I want to say is that when you go for an internship, some of what you might do is not going to work, and some of the things you're going to say at an interview might not work for one person and work for another. And I'm going to give some concrete examples. And that's especially if you're doing something great. If you're doing the, hey, look at my CV, hey, answer the questions, and then you go out the door, well, you pretty much fail safe. But then you've done like the 100 others. And that's not going to give you a great internship. I obviously said, don't just send a resume. I see a lot of people, they just send a resume and they just write something like, dear Mr. Mrs., they don't know even if it's a Mr. or Mrs. Please see the attached CV. I'm looking for opportunities. Okay, so there's like 5 wrong things here. First of all, dear Mr. Mrs., that's not how, it would work well for maybe better for Germany or for America, but in Denmark, and we're looking at internship in Denmark right now, it's very nice to be kind of straightforward and figure out who you're talking to. And that, I'm going to return to that, but what's it called, politeness, that's actually not a positive thing. So what most wrong is that you're not being specific. Like, are you searching for an internship? And when are you searching for an internship? There's so many questions that you should answer when you do this, when you write this very important first email, without writing a long resume. And also, are you even passionate about this internship? What I would do is, I would write a short but precise message where you say very precisely when you need to have an internship, how many hours. You're going to ask for how many hours. It's also important to ask questions, maybe in the first mail. Maybe say that you've seen that they're doing this kind of thing. If you're searching for a marketing position, you can say, oh, I like how you do on social media. I have a lot of ideas for that. I would like to share them with you. And then not say anything more. You see? And then just show that show some passion for the company you're looking for. And that requires you to only select maybe 10 companies to write. And I'm coming from a small company, so I would advise you not to go for the super big ones. It depends what you want. Of course, you can go into the super big ones, but you're not going to get as much responsibility. And it's actually really awesome to have an internship at a small company. I have done theoretical research about this one, because I've been researching how to make an internship, and everybody's saying that small companies are actually good for that. But actually, I had one intern once, and he wrote like a love story about my company. He was total failure in what he could do. like all the other candidates, has way better skills. But I just saw that he believed so much in what we did, and he was so passionate about it, that he actually became an intern. And yes, he was a failure. But he wanted it so much that he actually ended up being very great. And there's another thing, and I'm going to probably go into that later, but that's the passion. So if you show some kind of passion early on, the company can kind of use that because it creates a good working atmosphere. And what's very important for a small company like mine is that there's great working atmosphere. So if I see that people are happy, it's more important, especially if it's an internship, than like how well they perform. Of course I like when people perform well, but it's not the main thing. Come on. I mean, there's so many people sending me a CV, and then they don't even have a LinkedIn, and they don't show any kind of like online activity. Don't put in your Facebook and Instagram, it's not necessary, but at least would like to show that you have a LinkedIn portfolio. And in some businesses it makes sense to have your own website and all that kind of stuff, especially in marketing, and if you're into web design, all that kind of stuff. That's probably my field, so it's not relevant for everybody. But at least showing, and when I say LinkedIn profile, it's very different. You can have a very good LinkedIn profile and a very bad one, and it doesn't matter because we will look that up. I mean, if you have a LinkedIn profile, we will look at that. So yeah, I said that a little bit, but don't be too formal. This dear Mr. or Mrs. I mean, for big companies it might help, but for smaller companies it's like, hey, you can say, hi, Carsten, I talked to Peter at your company. It shows that you've done some research, or maybe you talked to some other guys in my company. He said I should send you this resume. See, that's a very good thing to do. It's like to address somebody at the company other than you, because then you already show that like you belong there. See, that's very effectively. And then you would say something like, just be very straightforward. I mean, don't be rude, don't be like, haha, smart, and don't use slang language. Okay, so you can be something like, I see that you need, I see that you posted that you have some problems with your marketing, or that you would like to get more of these things, and I could definitely help you with that, and that is kind of the confidence. And if you say something like, dear Mr. or Mrs., I have extensive knowledge in the areas of, I would be very happy to present my, and you go with all this blah 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 blah, and in Denmark we just go like, woof, it's like you're hiding behind something. Just be very straightforward. It works well, and you can be nice while doing that. I believe so at least. But when you write your resume, right, and your CV, I would do it in a different way, and that now there's some personal what I would do, and that is to, like, I see a lot of people, they show where they've worked before, and that's great, but I would turn it around, and below them they show what they are good at. I'm very good at teamwork, and I'm very good at, I'm always on time, I'm passionate, I'm innovative, I'm creative. Okay, so let's turn it around. So you could say, I'm creative. At this company, I was creative doing this. So you're showing, so the thing about a CV is the more you can prove yourself, the better it is. So the next thing, and then for all of these things where you've done something great, you can put it on a timeline like that, and that would be very effective. And that's not the only way to do it, but the important thing to take from this is just that employers like to see proof. Oh yeah, this is kind of a no-brainer, but, and I don't think everybody can do this. But what I'm going to say is that be proactive. And it's easy to say, and it's very easy to do, actually very easy, but it's just something about personality also. So, for example, if you contact a company, why don't you call them? So, you see, if you already send a resume, why don't you call them and ask them if they received it, and maybe call them and say, hey, I will take 15 minutes of your time, I have some ideas for you. And I would like to see if there's a match, or just when you're sending an email, follow up. Say, if you don't get an answer, why don't you follow up? I mean, most people, they send a resume and never heard. I usually answer people. I mean, it's happened a few times that we didn't, but I think 95% of the time we answer people. But sometimes it's like, I sometimes think, why would I answer these people? Because they maybe just send a resume and a subject, and then poof, nothing more. And that's not being proactive. That seems like they're just spamming companies with resumes, and that's not a good start. Proactive is about showing that you want something, and showing that you are part of the process. if you send something in and you're like, I'm totally passive about this, then you're not what I call proactive. So, and yeah, I mean, there are many ways to do this, so I don't want to get too concrete, but I think you know what I mean. And then act professional. Maybe I said a little bit before, but you can actually present something when you have the first meeting. It can be very small, 2 minutes. But actually when you go into that meeting, have an idea of which company you're talking to, research their website, and when they start telling about their stories, you can say something like, oh yeah, I know, I saw it on your website. I mean, I've had maybe 100 applicants and maybe 10 have said something like that. So it's just something being, that's not proactiveness actually, that comes to mind because you're professionally prepared. I'm like, oh yeah, I know, I saw it. And if I ask them a question, and they would be like, they would start talking about themselves, but then they would maybe say, oh, but I know you don't need this because you're doing this and that. And that's just very professional. And also, when we were at the meeting, you could bring up your daily schedule. That just shows that you're probably a person who's on time if you talk about your schedule and how to arrange that with the internship. If there's going to be any problems, it's very nice to bring it up already there. Even if there are problems, you're showing some kind of professionalism by saying it. I mean, there are many ways in which you can be more professional. It's like when you come to an interview, it's great to finish it up by talking about your future. And, you know, I often bring it up, like, what do you expect in the future? And people are mostly like, whoa, I didn't prepare for this question. I don't know about my future. But if you don't know, okay, lie. I mean, I didn't say that, but have a great response to what's going on in your future. And for example, if you know that you're not going to be here for more than 2 years, you can say, oh, I want to be here for 2 years and I want to really contribute while I'm here. And you can make it something positive by saying, yeah, you're here for 2 years and it's going to be 2 dedicated years where, I mean, you're just going to focus on the work you've been given. Because actually you think that many Danish companies prefer Danish people. That's actually not true. They only prefer them because they speak Danish. Actually, most of the companies I talk to, they actually love to employ people from, people from all over the world who are, like, there are some regions in specific where people are more attracted, right? But actually, in general, they think Danish people are lazy, and it's true, Danish people are lazy. The only advantage Danish people have is that they are sometimes, and I'm not going to say this is now we're talking journalism, so don't take all this for granted, but that Danish people are maybe a bit, sometimes they're more freely creative because they don't put up barriers, whereas in other countries we learned that things are more strict. And Danish people have some, we got strengths too, but we're definitely lazy, and companies don't like that. So if you can prove that when you're talking about, especially your future, and you can say, I expect to do this and this, and I expect, you have a very sound plan, you sound like, yeah, you really want to fight. And that's, it's those basic things that actually matter when you're at a conversation. Because when you're there, they already accept your skills. I mean, that's not what's going to matter. What's going to matter is your personality and how you fit inside the company. So it brings me to the last part, which is show your passion. And I said it before, so I'm just going to make it quick. I mean, I see just these few examples of people who really show it, and it doesn't have to be about the company you're talking to, but it could be something related to that. And if you don't have any passion for the internship, then, why are you doing it? You should find that passion. And people can learn to find that passion, even if you're like, the school said I should get an internship. I actually just want to study. You got to find it, because it shows when you're at an interview if you're passionate or not. And if you start looking into the companies that you are and just try to fall in love with them. I don't know how you do that, but by researching, by learning about cool stuff they do, and sometimes you're like, yeah, this company does well about that. And you can have some proud, even before you know if you're in that company, you can have a little bit of pride of saying, yeah, if I get in there, I know that these guys can do this and this. So that's very important. And actually for me personally, like I said, people are different. Other bosses are going to look only at numbers. Other bosses are going to look only at qualifications, and then you're doomed. And then you're like already sold it when you're at the interview, because then when they're taking you in, they've looked at all your high grades and they said, oh yeah, this person we need. But most people, I think, what I hear around is more like me, they look at the human side of things too, and it matters a lot. this is very different from company to company. But I can say, if you're going for a small company, you will get more responsibility and you will get more down-to-earth tasks. If you're at a bigger company, and I'm not saying which one is better, if you're at a bigger company, you usually get assigned into more specific groups, and you're being put towards some tests maybe, and you're working on a more theoretical level. So it feels more like being at the university. Depending on which company, of course, because this is never something I can explain unless you see the company you're at. But when it comes to the work you're given, you might feel in the beginning that you have very little to do, and you're like, oh, what do they want from me, and you know, is it good enough, blah, 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 all these questions. And I think that's normal. I also always think when I get new, it's just like, oh my god, what I'm going to do with these people. I'm just kidding. No, really, but it's just something that comes along the way. And when you've given the first task, the tasks always grow. So it seems little to begin with, but actually when you enter your internship, you're always going to, I think all the internships that are being done is ending with, oh, we didn't finish. We had so many things we wanted to do more in this internship. So that's not something you should be concerned of, even if it seems like that at the beginning. Yeah, and then the last thing is that, I mean, this is not something you can really change or anything, so it's not really that interesting, but I'm just going to say that smart companies are going to make you work on projects that they're testing. Smart companies don't put you in charge of the sales division. On the other hand, actually testing new things is what enables companies to survive. So you need to find companies that actually, when you can actually ask them in the interview if you get to that, like, if they don't tell you, you can say, what do you expect me to do? And if they will say something like, you know, we would like to introduce you to new areas, we are testing some stuff, or, you know, we have this project, and we would like to, you know, see how it goes, and you know, that's actually great internships, because they really, how to succeed. Yeah, and that's like, this is going to return, because this is like one big circle, you know, it returns. Because if you have your passion, you are going to succeed. So, and that's also why it's important to match with the right company, because if you're not passionate for the company, you're not going to succeed in the company. Or you are maybe, but maybe you're not going to be happy about that success that you have in that company, because you're always planning to leave it. So, and you can also learn the passion during the internship, and that is actually involved, I mean, that's asking questions, and sometimes it seems like your boss don't have time, or the people who guide you don't have time, but asking those important questions, like, why are we doing this, and couldn't we do that, you know, come with ideas, you know. That is what I've come to see, is that people are only passionate when they feel ownership of what they're given. So, what I try to do, and I'm not very good at it, is to have the projects. You know, I want opinions from the people that work on them and the interns that work on them, and I want their contribution to be in the project. And I'm trying to make it sound like they're coming up with half the idea, even though they're not. I mean, and the other way around, you can make your boss feel like, you know, that you're actually contributing, and that, you know, just by asking the right question, even though he might have come to the same conclusion, it's nice for him to see, oh, you're as smart as I, so you can be the new boss. I mean, that kind of thing. Yeah. Embrace responsibility, I've said. Most of you, I mean, you're all university educated, and people that are university educated are supposed to be leaders. That's just something. I mean, either we're going to lead a computer, that's the lowest you can lead, but still, you're leading a computer. I mean, you're leading something intelligent, or you're leading people. And embracing responsibility is hard for some people. I see, you know, very different aspects of that. And some people take a lot of time to embrace that responsibility. But then you have to think about it. If your internship is only 3 months or 6 months, you shouldn't wait too long to ask. You know, that starts with asking questions like, why is the coffee machine broke? No. I mean, why are we doing like this? Or, you know, that's a general question. But, you know, it depends on the situation. Just know that if you have some questions in your head, it's very important to ask them. Come up with a small solution. Don't say you have the whole solution. Come up with a small solution for small problems. That's how I would do it. It's like I would start looking at very small problems where I know if I fuck up, it's not that bad. And then you go on to bigger things, like, and you move from there. You know, like you see small things, and you suggest something, or you say, oh, I could take care of that. And if the boss is asking, or whoever is like, oh, who would like to do that? I'm like, oh, me. So that should be the response, right? But no, that really roots you to the company, because it's actually a no-brainer. If you have some responsibility, then it's really irritating for the company to find somebody new to teach that responsibility and to make that whole process. That's expensive. So I've had interns that were very good at leading, so I kind of had to hire them. I mean, this one example was part-time. I mean, he was a student because he still had to continue to study, but I had to hire him part-time afterwards because he meant so much to the company. And he actually came up with all the ideas. He said like, oh, we have this server problem. Shouldn't we fix it? I'm like, yeah, we should. You're right. And then he came up with the whole solution, and we were like, yeah, that's working out. But then we found out, like, we need more. Like, okay, now we have this awesome thing, but now the areas of where we want to expand to, because we have customers that get happy, you know, we can start doing a new service. And then we're like, we need you here now, because we don't have anybody else than you that can do this. And obviously, you're not all server experts or whatever, but it doesn't matter. I mean, if you take charge with something, you can actually root yourself.
Let's say you've already got the interview. What's a good way to sell yourself to your employer or whoever's interviewing you?
Yeah, it comes a bit back to what I said. But if you already got an interview, you're pretty far ahead. So, I mean, the worst thing, I guess, is to be so nervous you don't really know what to do. But actually, nervousness is not, I mean, the most important thing is actually preparation. Like I said before, it's like being professional and showing some interest. Bring your schedule from just, you know, if you show that you thought about all the possibilities.
Do you think there's such thing as saying too much? Like, do you
Yes.
think you could overdo it and say, oh, you really need to hire me because I'm good at this and good at this and good at this?
Especially in Denmark.
Okay.
We don't do American style. I might have said this, but if you kind of try to make it sound like you're the only one that we need and you're just amazing at everything, we're going to sit back and say, they are covering over something, you know. If you want to do like that, you should say, you know, I have these results here, I have these results there. Then we're going to be, you know, okay, take it away, boy. I mean, that is great, but just bragging, I mean, it's not bragging, but that's what Danish people will see as bragging, you know, if you don't back it up with something.
Right.
So that's why I told you about, you know, bring your results. And, you know, results can be, mostly results are numbers. So if you say, at the previous company, I did my work twice as fast as the other employees, and my employer wrote this about that, you know, or, you know, at my, you know, delivery job, they all love me because I'm always precise. I'm 20% more precise. You know, you can't always bring up numbers, but it's often about something you can measure, and that will make the difference.
I have a manager from a previous internship who would like to write me a recommendation. Where can I put it? Like, if I apply for my next internship, where can I use that paper? I mean,
I would use it in the CV, and I would also bring it to a conversation if you get there. And then, I mean, yeah, I would definitely do that.
So I should just place it somewhere in the CV?
Or attach it below the CV. I mean, compared to how long it is, if it's like 3 pages.
Yeah.
I mean, every recommendation that you get, I mean, it's the oldest trick in the book. And, you know, as a company, we also get these reviews from customers saying, oh, you did a great job, and maybe only 3 said that out of 100. I mean, it's better than that, right? But, I mean, and then people think like, oh, everybody loves them. It's just psychology. So bringing, that's just an old trick and it always works.
Learn from the company that we research it and it's so cool and we would like to be part of it, because sometimes we may not see what we can bring to the company if it's really great and we are impressed by this. So we may not have specific ideas from the beginning of what we want to bring.
Yeah, and I know exactly, and I'm seeing this, like I said before, do not always listen to me, because I'm seeing this as an employer, and I just love when people share in. But what most of you, and that's something I actually really wanted to say today, Emmanuel, who sits here, we had a conversation with some of the others at university last Thursday. And what all the companies said was that, oh yeah, we have this job posting on the SDU, and nobody's searching for it. And then we asked, like, why is nobody searching for it? Everybody's saying they need a job. And like, oh yeah, but we ask people and they say they don't think they're qualified. But actually we just need someone who is not too qualified. So the problem is here in general that students think that they're stupid. It can be boiled down to that. I mean, really, many students think that they're not able to do a task which they're perfectly able to do, and sometimes even more, because they just come out of fresh theory, and the rest of us have maybe grown too, fed up with all the reality. So I think you need to, and that's that's like bullshit. Believe in yourself, but really that's what I believe. But yeah, I would definitely not be too, considered with that. But on the other hand, you say, I'm not expecting an intern to bring tasks to the table. I just would like if they show some interest and come with a few ideas and say, have you tried this? And you can say, yes, we tried that, that's fine. And maybe you get shut down, but then they think, oh, this person is actually engaged, and they want something. So it's not about always doing the right thing, it's just about showing you want to do it.
About the language gap, like
yeah.
You, for example, out of the interns you hired, how many of them were non-Danish speakers?
Half, more, 70%, 65.
Yeah, it's actually impressive.
Thank you.
It's not what I hear, like, and that's not what I see.
No.
What you say is that they don't necessarily prefer Danes, but they want someone who speaks the language. You're not going to learn the language.
No.
And especially not in that amount of time. I mean, I've been here for 2 years, and I barely see anyone who's been speaking fluent in 2 years.
Yeah.
And it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
How do you bridge that?
By being better. And you guys are better in many areas. Because Danish people are lazy, like I said. Use that to your advantage. And one thing is, I'm from an industry where it's normal to accept more. I know a lot of other companies in my industry who also have a lot of international interns. So that's the same for my industry. It's like we have a higher percentage of that. But yeah, I'm not saying it's easy. That's why you're here, right? I hope. To try to nail it. But there are many things that blocks you. But I think the reason why Danish companies also don't hire internationals is that they don't know when they're going to leave, and they don't know what's in it for them. And that's why I said you should talk about your future as well. And also just by being persistent and actually calling the companies and saying, I just want to present an idea I have. And that's why I'm telling these things to you, because most times you can get an internship with less than these things, like less than being this proactive. And some companies would maybe even say, oh, this guy is too proactive, or these people are, they're banging at our door. We just slow down. But you have a disadvantage that you don't know English, so you gotta try to be more of what the others are. Because if you're just gonna be the same than the Danish, then you have, a natural disadvantage. I could talk about what we do at our company, but it would be so different from company to company how you work as an intern. So I don't think you will get so much from that. So I think I will say thank you for your time.